Duel in the Mist from the album Realm of Tranquil Eternity from Genshin Impact is an incredible piece of music. My name is Marco, I'm a pro opera singer turned voice actor.
Basta! How dare you insult my bolognese!
We understand that Duel in the Mist is of course a duel, it's a conflict, but let's break it down a little bit more into individual parts and see what we can glean from it. So we talk about a duel. We talk about facing off against your opponent. We talk about staring your opponent in the face. Let's say it's a gun duel. You turn around and you have that moment where you're walking your 10 paces, you turn around, and that's that space, what we're hearing now. I'm sure it's not nothing like that. I'm sure it's not an actual duel. It's just a battle theme for Inazuma, but there is this feeling of tension, right? Bum, bum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum. Here we have the beginning of this with the shamisen and the koto and a little bit of some taiko. We're setting the scene before we jump into the action here in about 10 seconds. And I think the singular drum there, boom, boom. Once we have all these drums come in, then we have this sort of violent elegance. But until then, the single drum is like sort of setting the scene. Boom, boom. What's about to happen, right? That's the sensation. Are you going to do it first? Am I going to go first? Are you going to go first? In the early part of the 20th century, this is all based off of Wikipedia, blind musicians and sighted players evolved a new style of playing based on traditional folk song, minyo, but involving much improvisation and flashy fingerwork. This style, known as Tsugaro Yamisen, after their home region of this style, the north of Honshu, continues to be relatively popular in Japan. The virtuosic Tsugaro Yamisen style is sometimes compared to bluegrass banjo. It involves a lot of fast finger work and all sorts of things. You're really hearing this with Duel in the Mist. There's a lot of fast, flashy finger work. It's pretty cool that I wonder if this is not borrowing from that. Then we have the koto underneath, giving us a support, giving us a baseline to then sort of have this improvisatory sound quality of the shamisen over top. Isn't that interesting? So we've got this repeated thing with the shamisen going on. It's a repetitive motion and sort of it catches our ear and we understand this repetition of battle. But then we have the koto doing ba-da-ba-dim-ba-dum-bum, ba-da-ba-dum-ba-dum-bum, doing its own individual melody. And I want you to listen to that. Let's rewind slightly. Listen to this. You hear that? So that's very, very cool because there's multiple things happening, but because of this blending and this sort of Inazuma, an island nation, you travel by boat. All of a sudden, it feels like we are swimming in some ways. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we are dueling in the mist. The mist is obscuring our view. We can't see, or so that makes sense. I feel like this music is all about, okay, well, they're coming from this way. Okay, they're coming from this way. There's this amorphous quality to it. It blurs the edges a bit. So first of all, this that propulsion really keeps you on the edge of your seat and makes you feel like, whoa, we have those repeated notes. Now, understandably, when it comes to opera singing, if we repeat the same phrase twice, we always want the second phrase to be different than the first phrase. That's very common. You look at a piece like Una furtiva lagrima, I say I palpiti twice. I palpiti, I palpiti. And you don't want everything to be too boring, so you want to make sure that we're changing things up. So the first phrase is one way, the second phrase is another way. Add some variety, add some spice to your life. Right. Now, when we have this though, in a way we're swelling into those notes, I'm pretty sure, but even if we weren't, what's pretty interesting about the tone quality here, in some ways it's percussive. So when you have it really like, my heart beating, it's beating really hard. So that's pretty interesting too and cool to listen to. Then we have the drums, which are keeping this pulse. It's making us feel like, okay, all right, slash, stab, you know, whatever. And again, all part of this duel and this battle music. You know, the koto has a lot of grace to the sound quality too. And I'm kind of interested because in all of these tunes, there is this tension built throughout all of these different instruments, right? And what's really cool is that we still have this like elegance and still have this like bit of grace as we're this dance of death, essentially. More build up here until I'm gonna stop there. So first of all, then we got the shakuhachi that comes in, and we've got the taiko bum. And you know what got me thinking today? I was listening to this at the gym. Yes, if you see me in the gym, I'm listening to Duel in the Mist. What's funny is that this reminds me a lot of trap music. Like, listen to this. This is randomly copyright-free trap music. Let's just check this out. Hopex, Conquer. I'll put a link for that in the About section. But it sounds like trap music. The rhythmic intensity of that is traditional instrumentation, but with a modern twist of trap music. Am I the only one who hears that? So I find that kind of interesting because we're taking literally instruments that have been around for hundreds of years, and we're adding modern rhythmic intensity and rhythmic integration and bringing a trap element to this, which is what's making it modern. And again, that would not be unnatural for Yu Peng Chen and the Hoyo Mix team and Genshin Impact as a whole, because we understand that there's tons of tunes. La Signora using electric guitar, Azdaha using the Arhu, but then also having, again, electric guitar and modern sound qualities. So wouldn't it make sense that in this we have trap rhythm? Now, I don't know anything about trap music as a person who's performed and studied opera for 10 years. And, you know, I listen to like alternative indie when I'm not listening to video game music or opera or whatever, or symphonic work. But there's something about this that really makes me feel like, yeah, drop that beat, you know, like, drop that beat, you know, like that's what I hear. It's pretty interesting that we have a melody line with the shakuhachi, which we also had earlier with the shamisen or the koto, and it's all just like fitting into itself. And this is the part where we build up our adrenaline and build up the intensity of the fight and of the battle. And yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, that's sick. So that's really interesting to me, is that we're using a rhythmic identifier of trap music in a piece that is about essentially ancient Japan. It uses traditional instruments and signifies something old, but then we still are able to tie it and connect it to something new and something that is around currently. And so we're blending genres, we're mixing and matching, while also respecting the music that has come before and the instrumentation that has come before in this modern world that we live in, which is very, I mean, it's pretty cool. And yeah, that song slaps. As always, there is a ton of Genshin Impact on this channel. Feel free to like, subscribe. There are links in the About section if you want to support the channel. And as always, thanks a ton. And hey, I'll talk to you later. Bye.